Howdy, and welcome back to Celebrating Vintage Model Kits. We're going to be looking at an infamous kit. This is the Adams Aerial Missile Transporter. It's a 1958 kit in 1/40th scale. It's kit number K158, and it's made up of the UH-41 Seneca and a couple of Hawk missiles slapped onto the side of it. You got some spectacular box art here with the helicopter delivering some additional Hawk missiles to this missile battery that's shooting off missiles that looks like probably Russian Bison bombers coming in. You've got an F-104 taken off to intercept, but it's on the same runway that you've got some American bombers over here. So hope he's going to be pulling up pretty fast here. Guys running around, reloading the launchers, and a couple of guys just happy to be flying. So quite a spectacular box art for this kit. So the UH-41 started out in 1952. Cessna acquired Sable Helicopter Company of Wichita, Kansas. At the time, Sable was working on a helicopter called the S-4B, and that project was moved to Cessna and became the CH-1 for Cessna helicopter, first model. What they did is they added a Cessna body to that platform, and Cessna dubbed it the Sky Hook, so playing off of some of the other Cessna aircraft that started out with Sky. So the testbed skeleton, the CH-1-1, first flew in July of 1953. The full-bodied version flew sometime in 1954, and then received the CAA type certificate on 5 June of 55. In the spring of 56, the U.S. Army took some interest in the helicopter, and they awarded a contract of $1.1 million to Cessna for 10 test aircraft, and they were at that time called the UH-41 Seneca. The engine was replaced with a little bit higher horsepower with a supercharger, the FSO 526A from Continental, which is an air-cooled 6-cylinder horizontally opposed engine, 270 horsepower. The empty weight was 2,080 pounds. Full gross weight was 3,100 pounds, which when you consider that a Hawk missile had a weight of 1,200 pounds, I'm guessing that this thing probably couldn't lift even one of these, let alone a pair of them. So the helicopter set a couple of firsts. It was the first helicopter to land on Pikes Peak, which had an altitude of 14,110 feet, and that was on 5 September of 55. And it also set an FAI altitude record for helicopters at 29,777 feet on December 28th of 57. And that record actually still stands for a piston-engined helicopter. All other records for altitude for helicopters are with turbine engines, so for a regular piston engine, this still holds the record. So the U.S. Army evaluated this, and they were impressed with its altitude performance, but they were not impressed with its payload capability, so they ended up not ordering any further. They continued using the other ones for other tests, but the U.S. government did purchase an additional 15 of the what they called the UH-41As at that point. They were supposed to be used for the military assistance program. 5 of those went to Iran and 4 to Ecuador. Not sure what the other 6 ended up doing, but they really didn't see a whole lot of additional service. The Cessna, was trying to get some commercial orders, but altogether they only, built approximately 50 of them, and production, completely ended in 1962. Currently, one survives in the Army Aviation Museum, serial number 564244, and it's not on view right now. It is in their storage, but they do rotate it in sometimes. So it's a little history about the helicopter itself. Let's take a look a little bit more at the kit. So we've mentioned this fantastic, highly action-packed box art here. A couple of the features on it. You've got authentic, super detailed, all plastic, easy to build, complete with 2 Hawk missiles, a detailed engine, 3 figures, and decals. What it doesn't mention is that the doors do open and the rotors rotate. But in the corner here, get a little focus on it, you've got the scale of the 1/40th scale, and this kind of resembles the Revell logo, having that it's made from official U.S. Army prints, as opposed to blueprints that are on the Revell kits. If you're not familiar, Adams, the company, they cut the molds for a lot of Revell's, some of their military vehicles and Jeeps and Hawks and missile launcher and stuff that Revell issued, and then they parted company in the early 50s, and Adams decided to box some of these up themselves, and this may have been originally something that was the helicopter may have ended up going into the Revell's line, but because of the separation between the two companies, Adams decided to use some of the missiles from one of the regular Hawk missile launcher kits to jazz up this helicopter. So this could have been a Revell kit. On the side here, you got, when it's Adams, it's authentic. It's an action model with movable true life parts. All military models to same scale. So here you've got the Honest John, the K self-propelled gun. That was, I think, was the M40. 105 howitzer, the Long Tom atomic cannon, Hawk missile battery. So these, I believe all these were Revell kits at one point. On this side, you've got an AA gun, the LVT-A, stagecoach, covered wagon, ranch wagon. These are all, again, Revell kits. On the end, you've got a repeat of the box art. And 1958, there's your code, and then the price extension 98 for 98 cents. In Hawthorne, that's like right next to Revell's facility. And on this side here, same thing. And it looks like this kit was marked down to 80 cents when it was sold in the 50s. And then we've got lithograph glued onto a hard box. And on the inside here, in fact, it even has copyright of 57, 58, lithoed in the U.S. Here's our Adams instruction sheet in black and red. So you've got a little history over here, but it doesn't say anything about how it's actually supposed to be able to carry the Hawk missiles. And then basic assembly instructions, starting out with assembling the Hawk missiles, and applying decals as you go along, and then painting instructions on the parts as you're going. And here we have main fuselage assembly. So you get an engine and some interior stuff here. Again, adding decals, painting as you're going along. There's your interior, so you get your crew and actually some details inside, so that's kind of nice for a 50s kit. Then your final assembly, your rotors, slapping your missiles on the side, and then the canopy. There's your parts list, and if you're missing parts, where to send it into. And then again, some more of their kits available. It's kind of neat. They've got patches of the Army down the side, and then down here, for the Western ones, they got brands down the side. Hey, partners, round up these other Western action models. So those are your instructions. There's the decals, and this isn't for any specific aircraft or helicopter. This is a phony serial numbers. This I think is a made-up badge as well. But they're pretty decent decals. They're a little yellowed for the time. You can see one's cut out because this kit was started by previous owner. You've got the Hawk missiles themselves have been assembled. You can see how big they are relative to the helicopter itself. So here's our pair of missiles. And we do have U.S. Army molded on there. And here's our fuselage that has been assembled as well. And we do have the decal on the bottom. So a little bit of assembly. But you can see it does have recessed panel lining. A little bit of rivet detail here and there along the sides there. And then you do have the cover for the engine intake. It is an air-cooled engine, so that's just probably just a screen mesh to keep junk from getting in there. And here's the main cockpit floor part. Some detail, little switches, different textures. Pretty nicely done. Here's our engine that's been partially assembled, the horizontally opposed cylinders. There's your turbocharger. And let's see, here's one of the seats. It actually has some texture to it. Instrument panel. It's really nice. Actually little dials and stuff on the gauges there. Again, little toggle switches. Pretty nicely done for this era. More seats. So the engine cover, which you could not glue down. You could lift it off and expose your engine. Here's our rotor blade. This had a unique style of rotor blade. As you can see there, the way it's attached. Now what else we got in here? So this tree here has the tail rotor. And these are for the missiles. There's a hoop for the tail rotor. Horizontal stabs. And here are the skids, which have details on it. Pretty nice. And what else we got in here? Some of the carrier parts for the missile again. And then here's our crew figures. These are pretty nice. A little flat on the bottom, but you know, that kind of matches up with the seat. And then here's our other crewman saying, hey, better shoot down that Russian bomber. And there's a ground guy loading up a missile. Looks like he's, yeah, it looks like he's, is that supposed to fit in there? Yeah. He's loading it up on there or something. But, you know, nice detail. And then we've got our clear parts. So this one here would fit, fit down in the front here, because the cabin bulged out and had the windows towards the front, like that. I guess here would be the engine cover. Go there. So you have these side windows here to look forward, and this would sit up on top there, like that. Oops. And then you've also got the doors, which are hinged to be able to open and close. They're pretty well done. Nice raised framing on it. Here's the other one. That one's pretty nice too. And then here's the top piece. A little bit of dimpling from where the pins are to hold it down. But overall, pretty nice. They really did a good job on that. So there you go. That is your Adams aerial missile transporter. So Adams didn't make kits for very long. They ended up selling a lot of their molds to Athearn, which is known for railroad stuff, HO scale railroad stuff. And they marketed their model kits under the Snap name. So you see you have this 58 issue from Adams, and then 60 is where the Snap one came out. Basically looks identical, and then they've got Snap in little colored squares across the top there. And then the molds ended up with Lifelike Hobby. They did an issue in 74 with some different artwork. And then that was it. It disappeared. Hopefully this mold still exists somewhere, and maybe we'll get a reissue of it by Round 2 or Atlantis or something. And but if you were looking to make a model of the UH-41 or the CH-1, whichever way you wanted to call it, this was the only kit available up until 2013, when Unicraft came out with the 1/72 scale kit. So this was the only game in town if you wanted to build one of these guys. Well, that's about it for this one. If you've built one of these, tell us about it in the comment section. If you got one built up sitting on your shelf, take a picture of it, send it in for the next viewer build video. And that's all for today. And as always, have yourself a great rest of your day.